We're with NFL Hall of Famer Joe DeLamielleure and the Crowther fighting trainer. The reason this is such an awesome tool in my opinion is because of the uniqueness of these arms. One, they give, right? They kind of simulate how a player might move on the field, but they have landmarks in terms of hands, elbows, shoulders, right? I'm not always going to attack my opponent the same way. So there are going to be times when I might attack the hands. On the sled, that would be here. In real game situation, it'd be if a lineman, if I see that he carries his hands real high on a pass rush, I might try to catch those hands here and then work my move. If the guy's really great with his hands and he's able to get inside of me, it's going to be hard for me to work that same move. So if he gets inside of me, I might move up to the elbow to try and attack him. Same thing here. I can work that actual landmark and get really accurate with it. And same thing when we're talking about how it's going to happen on the field. If a lineman gets his hands into me and I only knock the hand down, a lot of times the guy will get really good at replacing that. So that's where I can work different things. I can work his shoulder, I can work his elbow, something to soften him and complete a pass rush. I like to demonstrate this with kids. If he holds his arms out here and I get inside of him and I push out, I'm pushing out hard, he's really strong there, he's able to resist that. So if let's say I work an arm over or something and I land below the elbow, I'm going to fight that. He can fight into me pretty hard. He can resist pretty hard there. Now hold your hands out in front. Now resist me when I push in. Ready?
Yep.
I can collapse that super easy. So that, translating to the field, would be if I can get to the outside of that elbow when he shoots, if I can somehow get here, I can give him pressure. He's really in a poor position to fight that. So kind of helps players develop the idea of how can I soften my opponent without compromising my own posture. I always want to work is from the fit backwards, okay? I've had a lot of success with that way. The players know what posture they're going to be in on contact, get really good at that posture, and start to build back from that, okay? Then we start to add speed to that, which is why I love this, because you can use progression, right? So if I'm a guy, like an outside rush, I'm a big fan of the chop, okay? To chop the outside arm. So if this is the left tackle and I'm an edge rusher, I want to get his outside arm off of me, okay? So you can do that from really close, hit that and run the hump and do it over and over, nice and slow. We're from fit, hit it, get low. We can start to incorporate other equipment after that. But as you get better at it, you start to add a little bit of distance, a little bit of speed. You can start to add a head fake. So you can come up, shake. Let's say a guy as a catcher, he puts his hands up. We want to bull rush him a lot, but we also want to get his hands off him. So here's another one. You can come from a stance, depending on position. Come right here, and we're going to attack the hands. So from here, you can shake, get the hands, okay? And do it again. You're here, whatever your stance might be. You can go from 3-point, standing up, shake, boom. Here, you can get them off you, then you can work a move. Again, progress. So, rip off of it, swim off of it, and then we can knock the hands down. Right, from here it can be slap the hands, swipe the hands. So many different things we can do with this. The Arc Fighter is unbelievably realistic. I mean, obviously guys, nothing is going to move like another human. So one-on-one drills against a partner is ideal, but obviously that's not very practical all the time. So what I do love about this though is it really simulates a person much better than any sled on the market, right? If let's say I miss with my hands, this is the position where a guy has his hands on me, and I have to get off that somehow. So how we would teach that is what we call a crossbar. We would come across the elbow, knock the hands down, and continue our rush. Now, there's a lot of specifics to that. If I don't land this cross chop above the elbow, I get it here, it's really hard to move an arm, right? We gotta attack pressure points. This is awesome for training that, right? Because watch what happens when I don't get my hands over the elbow, it's harder for me to clear. When I get over the elbow, it pops his arm inside exactly like it would an offensive tackle. You can turn a tackle here, very hard for him to recover. Awesome way to drill that when you don't have a partner available, or if you just want to do it at a really slow pace that's very uniform. They get really good at the same landmarks, and then when they start to move, they start to adjust really well. This kind of helps us learn to use an opponent's body against them. Let's say I go with an underarm rip. If that guy stays in front of me, right, I'm gonna spin and I'm gonna stay tight. Okay, so I can simulate that. I work a rip move, but the blocker recovers and stays in front of me. So then that opens up my counter, that spin. right? Now let's do that same thing, and let's say that blocker gets behind me. So I get to this position, he's behind me, okay? And I can use the arc runner as well. He's behind me, well, I'm gonna teach that kid to continue to rip. I'm here, he's behind me, I'm gonna continue to rip and run and get off. If you don't have a partner available, such an awesome tool because it does simulate because of the arms on it and that they don't give. They give like a human arm would. You knock it down, it comes up. Such a cool tool. Like, you guys can really get creative with your pass rushes, but again, you're gonna help your players develop more than one, right? Not just the fastball, changeup, curveball. If they can develop 3, they're gonna be very effective. This is gonna help you do it. A lot of people use the arc runner because it does help our athletes learn to bend, but let's think about how we're gonna use that in a game situation. If I'm a defensive end, you guys as coaches see it all the time, so I'm gonna put the arc runner in a position that's gonna mimic my pass to the quarterback. You know, a lot of times a kid could make a great move, but if he's out of control and he can't control his body, whatever, he swipes and he continues up the field, all of a sudden he's kind of made that job easy either for the tackle to recover or the quarterback just to step up in the pocket. So when we add the arc runner with it, we can work our move, whatever it might be. So I'm here, I work my move, and I stay tight. Again, this helps us give the why, give the specific of why we're doing it. Why are we trying to bend? Well, if we're not bending, again, we're gonna expand the pocket for that quarterback, give him room to step up, help the tackle to recover. If I can make a move and stay tight to this tackle, he can't recover, and then I can just continue that arc to the quarterback. Just a great way to take 2 awesome pieces of equipment that are available through Ray Crowther, put them together so you have something that really simulates what players are going to deal with in a game. Here's a pass rush we can drill using 3 pieces of equipment. We have our arc runner, we have the fighting trainer, and then we have the bump stick. This is really versatile, but because it has some length, there's a lot of things I can do with it. If you watch really good pass rushers in the NFL, Von Miller, it comes to mind, is probably the best at it. That he'll pretty much have a guy beat with his first move. When the tackle tries to recover with one last punch, he dips his shoulder just a little bit. So he makes his move, and then the tackle recovers, and he drops one thing, and the tackle ends up punching it air. So that's where you can incorporate this as well. You have a coach stand here, player beats an initial move, and I'm just gonna pop out the bump stick. Right, I'm just gonna pop it out, simulate a tackle, getting one last hand on him. I get beat off a move, my hands get knocked down, I try to recover there. If I can dip under that shoulder, or under that hand, I can dip my shoulder under there. Really effective. Again, Von Miller, probably the best in the league at it. Does it over and over and over. He beats a guy with one move, and that last little bit is kind of his finish. It makes it really hard for somebody to recover. So these tools, though, we can actually start to drill that, help your players get better, and not only their first move, but also being able to counter a counter, if that makes sense. Tackle gets beat, he tries to counter it with another strike, and we can work on avoiding that. I love it because you can progress. We want to make sure our kids master the basics before we start to incorporate a lot of speed. Fighting trainer is an awesome tool for that. So I've talked a lot about the fighting trainer being a great tool for defensive linemen working on pass rush. Really, in terms of a sled, it's really great too for receivers if they're trying to get off a bump. They can work their releases, okay? So easily line your receiver up. If they bump and swim, you can work that, right? Then get shake, bump, swim, and always clear with that backhand, right? So I'm trying to turn it, get myself clear, okay? If that's one move they work, you do that. You can work on both hands up, rip underneath, whatever it might be. But again, if a receiver only has one release, right? Which you see in high school a lot of times corners don't have much of an answer for it. But if you do it over and over and over, you just throw that fastball, eventually they can time you up. So this is an awesome tool because it's gonna let your players in kind of a non-threatening setting, right? Where they can really drill and they can work on multiple moves. Then when they get in a game, based on what they're seeing, they can use those moves accordingly.